Well, that was part of the president's freewheeling national emergency declaration yesterday, and after wrapping that up, he went south to his Mar-a-Lago resort. Let's bring in Democratic strategist Julie Roginski, Republican strategist Lauren Zelt, and nationally syndicated radio talk show host Bill Press. Hey guys, good to see you all. Lauren, you first here. The president's base. Will they see the emergency declaration as a win, despite his negotiations for funding falling short and his promise to get Mexico to pay for the wall being curbed, or, I mean, non-existent, let's face it?
You know, I think right now they see it as a win. I think that his base sees him as a person who is fighting for what he promised them on the campaign trail, which is the wall. I think what we should watch for is what happens in the courts. You know, if this drags out, if we get closer to 2020, there hasn't been significant progress on the wall. I do think that they may question, you know, whether or not the president is really getting the things done that he promised them.
Okay, in terms of the courts, Bill, we had the president also saying yesterday he did not need to clear an emergency, but he did so because he wanted to get the wall done faster. Several hours later, he jets off to Mar-a-Lago. Is the president undermining his own case that there's an emergency and that which would be presented and discussed and debated in court?
I mean, absolutely.
This is to Bill.
Sorry.
I think absolutely, I would say, and he is in a couple of ways. Number one, where is he today? There's a national emergency, so let's play golf. I mean, that sort of undercuts the emergency thing. Plus, his statement yesterday that I didn't need to do this. I just did it because I wanted the wall to be built. I wanted the fastest way. I wanted to get it done faster. Certainly undercuts it. But, you know, under all here, Alex, is a very fundamental constitutional question, which is the purse authority, if you will, the spending authority of the United States Congress. Article 1 of the Constitution clearly gives that, with very few exceptions, to the United States Congress. And I think that's the issue before the court. And I believe that even this conservative Roberts Court will stand up for the Constitution and not for a politician with a pet project.
If you look at this, though, in perspective, Julie, the president tried to justify this move, pointing to emergency declarations by past presidents. What's your response to that?
Well, first and foremost, those were real emergencies, like 9/11 comes to mind, obviously, for George W. Bush. But the reality of this is that the president is pandering to one segment and one segment only, the talking heads that he listens to and takes as gospel. Look, I worked with a lot of these people for many years. They don't even believe 90% of what they say. It's all done for ratings. And the fact that we have a president who's now embarking on a massive constitutional crisis to placate the likes of Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity is absurd. And I think even his base has to realize that the same imperial presidency that they derided when Barack Obama tried to do something about helping the dreamers and so on is exactly what this president is doing on steroids. And the same people who he listens to on cable news who rallied against Barack Obama's every move when he tried to do something that they considered to be an end run around Congress are cheering him on. That's who he's pandering to. It's not necessarily to anybody of any substance in the country, but it is purely to a cable news audience that is minuscule compared to the rest of the country.
You know, it's interesting, Lauren, I mean, we have Republicans who are urging the president, do not declare a national emergency. In fact, here are some of them raising concerns on that very issue. Take a listen.
I don't think he should do that. I think it's a bad precedent.
We got to be very careful about endorsing broad uses of executive power.
This would just be another erosion of congressional authority in this particular area.
The real concern that I have is the precedent that this then sets.
I think that's dubious from a constitutional perspective, and I hope that the president will not go that route.
Weeks of these kinds of declarations. I mean, what do you think, Lauren? Why did the president do it?
He did it because he wanted to declare victory. But let me be very clear. He should not have done this. You know, I was one of those conservatives that had questions when President Obama, you know, said that he had a pen and a phone. And it befuddles me that any Republican could look at this and say that it's okay. This is not a national emergency at all. And frankly, it terrifies me for the precedent that it's going to set moving forward. Because guess what? Someday a Democrat is going to be back in the White House. And, you know, we're going to have to deal with things that they want to do then.
And Bill, to that point, I mean, is this the kind of thing that Democrats are saying, Okay, bring it on, because look, we could do this for, we consider gun control something that we need a national emergency about, or climate change. I mean, those are two pet issues, if you will, with the Democrats.
I think this is a moment of truth for both the Republican and the Democratic Party, Alex. I really do. And I come back to, it's a moment of truth about whether you stand up for the Constitution or you stand up for any politician. And just one quick word of warning. Most of those senators have said before, we don't want President Trump to do this, but when push comes to shove, they end up backing the president. This is a test for them to stand up.
All right, guys, listen, I've got to wrap it here. Julie, Lauren, Bill, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
the government
Alex.
shutdown remains a painful economic nightmare for some workers, and it doesn't seem like the president cares that's ahead.
Run with us.